While learning about your users or customers' needs is a sophisticated skill, it can be developed by anyone. That is where planning for a user research study comes in really handy. Let's walk through a process I frequently follow as a user researcher at Microsoft. Over the years, I've recognized that this systematic organization and arrangement of user needs and data and conversations that I've had helps me understand people better. It helps my team build more meaningful products. So, we start off a study typically with defining the objectives. In this phase, it's critical to understand why are we doing this research, what information are we looking for, how will this information help us take product decisions, and what product decisions are they. It's a good practice to collect all of this data into a Word doc that is accessible by most of the development team, and they can pitch in their word. So to make things less abstract and more concrete, let's take an example. Let's assume there is an app and I'm using an app just for example. The takeaways here can apply to any human machine interface like a website, a portal, social platform, even a concept that's not completely ready yet, a physical product, so on and so forth. So for the sake of simplicity and to help us ground in concrete reality, let's assume there is an app that allows users to listen to music or watch videos that people around them are watching or listening to. Here are a few examples of what objectives could look like for such a project. So first of all, we would want to learn about when do people try to discover new music or videos based on other people's choices. What are those scenarios when you really want to know what a neighbor is watching, for example? To learn how do users consume content on this app, let's call it app X. What is the duration of use for the app? Do people prefer to use this app for listening or for watching videos mostly? And how frequently do they come back on the app and for what purposes? Then another good objective to understand would be, why do people continue to use the app? Why do people leave? And what can be done to improve retention? Retention is a word used to describe whether people that have downloaded the app are continuing to use the app in the same or in a better, more engaged manner. To understand users' perception and concerns regarding privacy and data sharing while using the app's feature, because clearly along with content there is a location proximity technology used for a solution like this. So what concerns does this raise in a person who's downloaded this app in their headspace, and how do we mitigate those? How do we create safer environments on the app for people to come and engage with the content? So these are some examples of what objectives could look like. A good practice is to have 1 to 4 objectives, not more than that. Oftentimes I've experienced in the past that whenever I've gone beyond 4 or 5 objectives, big pieces that I want to understand, I typically end up with a shallow understanding of each of the topic rather than delving deep into privacy concerns or retention, reasons for retention, so on and so forth. So moving on to the next stage, we would want to figure out how to find the right people to speak with. If we speak with people that don't listen to music at all, we'll not be able to learn about when do users try to discover new music. So the takeaway point is that each research objective tells us about whom to reach out to and whom to avoid. So let's convert each objective into a recruitment criteria. So if we are trying to learn about when do users try to discover new music, it makes sense to speak with people that frequently try to discover new music or videos. If we are trying to learn about how do people consume content on the app, it's valuable to speak with people that have already created an account on app X. To understand why do people continue to stay versus what is the threshold at which people leave, it would be meaningful to speak with people that have stopped using the app recently, or people that have been using the app since a long time, let's say last year for example. In case we want to understand perceptions and concerns regarding privacy policy and data sharing, it's important to speak with people that have positive or negative opinions about privacy or data sharing. So this helps us get a view about what kind of people do we want to speak with, convert these criteria into questions, and set up a Microsoft form to circulate on platforms where you can potentially find relevant people. You can find the link to this sample file in the description below. So typically what I would do is I would use a Microsoft form and I would convert each topic into a question. Let's say the topic is frequently tries to discover new music. So I would ask a question around how often do you discover new music? And the answers could range from never to sometimes, always, often, once in a while, so on and so forth. And then I can use those responses to screen out people that say things like never, once in a while, because I'm trying to speak with people that frequently try to do this. Once you begin seeing responses from potential participants, reach out to them and schedule an interview. You can use softwares like Calendly, Teams, Google Calendar, or other scheduling systems to set up 1-hour meetings on predetermined dates and times. In one of the upcoming videos, we will be talking about the best practices of converting screening criteria into questions such that you get to the right kind of people, right? Alright, so moving to the next step, this is where we try to develop a discussion guide. In this phase, we try to define what exactly do we want to speak about. Remember the key questions we created in the first phase? We'll use them again to help us create a guide. Here's how. So, if we are trying to understand when do users try to discover new music video based on others' choices, we ask them about their content consumption habits. If we are trying to learn about how do users consume content on this app, we deep dive into their app usage behavior. Why do people continue to stay or leave? We ask them what has their experience been like and at what point did they make the decision to continue using or to leave. And in the end, we talk about privacy and data concerns. So now that you have clarity on this topic, try writing questions under each of these sections. Here is my attempt of creating a discussion guide for this study. The link to this file is available in the description below. As we are inching closer to the date of our first interview, here is what can happen during that session. All team members should be informed at least a week in advance about what is expected of them during the session. Doing this ensures that everybody has their own time to do preparation for these sessions. They can come with their own questions, they can come with their own concerns that you can ask the participant at the end of the session, or they can ensure they are available to observe the session and form their own opinions about their customers' needs. Now, when all sessions are complete and the note takers have taken their notes, Let's move the content from notes to post-its. Digital or physical, take your pick. I always try to feed at least 10 takeaways from each session in here. Then we club post-its that talk about the same thing under one theme. In the last stage, we write the title or the insight that describes the post-its that fall under that theme. Now we have the list of insights ready. Jot them down in a document and share your discoveries with your team. You've successfully completed your first user research. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay tuned to learn more.